Hey, how are you guys doing today? Welcome to another episode of Fridays Are For Friends. My name is Khallil, and I'm here with Nick Hagelin, an amazing, just creative in general. You have a new single coming out called Falling. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Falling was an opportunity for me to get back to my singer-songwriter roots. I picked up my acoustic guitar on a little family vacation, a little mountain house in North Georgia, and I came up with that opening riff. And there was water, uh, like a waterfall, like a man-made waterfall built into the house that was right out front. And that first line, follow me down to the water, ease yourself in the river, and the riff came to me that weekend. And the rest took a while to sort of like massage out and come to fruition. But it's one of those very natural moments of inspiration that then sort of turned into a beautiful love song, a song about finding love when you're not really looking for it.
Yeah, and you discussed a little bit about your songwriting process then, but what is it typically like?
Oh, it takes so many different forms. I've been writing songs since I was probably like 12 or younger, but when I was 12, I had like a band, so we were really into writing songs together. And I actually recently found a printout of like my band's like lyrics, and it had like a title and like by John Kamen, like my guitarist in my band, and it was like 2 pages of like, emo core lyrics. And I don't do that anymore. Like write a bunch of lyrics and then all that to say the process changes throughout the years. That's not even, sorry. The process changes from song to song, from moment to moment. You and I write songs together. That's an incredible flow where we are recording melodies sort of in the room, in the moment, trying to catch that inspiration melodically, and then finding a theme and a concept and building lyrics around that. I love that collaborative process, and that's a very popular songwriting process for like pop music, is to record and sort of write in the studio and record as you go along. But I've been playing guitar since I was 12, so there's this whole other approach where I work out songs on the guitar. I play piano. Very much a fan of capturing inspiration through voice notes. If I hear something, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll hear something and I'll make sure I capture it, or I'll have a riff and I make sure I record it and I label it so I can find it again. Whatever I think is going to remind me of that little flash of inspiration, I can always go back and find it. And this kind of is kind of fun to know that you have these little creative seeds in your phone, or like when the opportunity arises to go back and like flesh out an idea. I love that. Sometimes I hear a song almost like fully formed in my head, and I try and like manifest that as best I can with other talented musicians. And sometimes it's just an idea. And then as far as lyrics go, I write the most lyrics. If I'm gonna write separately from like when I'm in the studio or when I'm sitting at an instrument, it's always in the gym, because like my adrenaline's pumping, I'm feeling myself. I'm usually listening to music, so I'm like hearing a lot of lyrics, and other artists' lyrics always inspire me, or I'll like mishear a lyric. I'll be like, did they just say? And then I'll go back, that's not what they said. I'm like, great, that's what I said. And so there's so many ways, and I'll just sort of capture. It's really about capturing inspiration when it comes up and then creating space to like flesh out ideas.
For sure. That's actually how we wrote our last song that we did together. Is you had the idea
in the
from
gym.
the gym.
Yeah, just a couple hours before I was in the gym, and I had that idea of like residue, like what if a lover leaves, but she still left her mark and everything. And that's all I really had to say, and we were able to take that concept and flesh it out.
Yeah, man. And the voice notes that you're talking about too are so important, because like you said, at night, if you just have an idea, like you will sometimes get lazy and say, oh, I'll just wake up in the morning and I'll remember that idea. Do not do that. Please just get up and just record it, because you will be so happy that you did that the next day.
It's also a testament to how strong those ideas come through. Sometimes what we're receiving is so clear that we have the delusion of like, I'll remember this in the morning because it's so obvious. I can hear it in my head so clearly. It's like a song I've heard for years. And that's where that delusion comes from, that like I'm going to sleep and wake up and remember it. That part doesn't happen,
It does not.
But it is a testament to like how clear some of those gifts come through. And I think being an artist in any fashion is just sort of building that faith around those kinds of like transmissions or those ideas you have and say, oh, this is worth capturing. This is worth expressing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And not only are you a musician, you're a talented actor, you also do ballet. Can you tell us a little bit more about those creative endeavors?
Yeah, I was really lucky to have two parents in the performing arts. They met in choir college. They were very supportive of me pursuing the arts. And I grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey, just outside of Manhattan. And I grew up doing ballet at the School of American Ballet. Started really young. And I got my first check when I was like 12 for being in a American Ballet Theater production at the Metropolitan Opera House. And it was a cool experience, but like I don't think I realized I was going to get paid for it. And when they gave me that check, whatever it was for, I'm sure it wasn't life-changing, but for me it was like, wait, what? Like I'm going to get paid for I can get paid for this thing now. And pretty much from, I've never had a job outside of the creative arts and the performing arts. And I think a big part of one of the biggest gifts that ballet's given me, besides actually being a very consistent way that I get to earn income, express myself, stay fit. I teach dance, I choreograph. I love that. But one of the biggest gifts is just the discipline. School of American Ballet was in the Juilliard building. And so you were just immersed in this environment where like you would hear opera singers on the elevators like as they went up and down and realizing the instrumentalists and all the different talented people pursuing careers that it required a massive commitment, massive amount of training and consistency. And so learning that at such a young age and being in this hyper-competitive environment in the arts just set me up for a lifetime of realizing like, yeah, I can have a career as an artist, as a performing artist, as a creative artist, but it's going to require no less work or commitment as any other career I might choose. So that was the biggest blessing of being a ballet dancer in New York City from such a young age, is just seeing amazing commitment to the craft and trying to achieve it at the highest level. I also started acting around that same time as a teenager in New York City, and put acting on the back burner as I pursued music sort of when I came out of high school. And then everything in Atlanta started blowing up around like 20. Work as an actor in film and television. And I love it. And I love the way that my different pursuits inform each other. So like even when I'm doing a ballet now, because there was a few years where like I wanted to be a pop star. And so if I was doing ballet and I was playing Prince Charming and Cinderella, I'd be like resentful about it. Like, this is stupid. This is beneath me, or this isn't in alignment with my true dream of being a rock star. And then getting back into acting, it's like, wait, being Prince Charming, that's an opportunity to like really care about finding the foot that fits into this slipper and really be present in these moments. And what used to feel like silly, I now see as like opportunities to like tell stories. And even the way that these different worlds collide, like I did a film a couple years ago and I was asked to make music for the film, or I'm on a show on Netflix called Sweet Magnolias, and they asked me to choreograph their like Nutcracker sequence. And so now I'm like running this major Netflix set, and all the different departments are like deferring to my expertise, like the camera department, the director, the sound playback, lighting. But I don't have any sort of imposter syndrome because like as a ballet dancer, I've been doing that since I was 9 years old. And so God just keeps putting me in positions to sort of like keep amalgamizing my different loves of the creative arts. So I just hope for more opportunities to do that. Like I would love to like play a singer-songwriter in a movie. Because it'd be like, I would feel so comfortable doing that. So I love that.
Yeah, and you're just like talking about your commitment to all these different like creative aspects. You're also committed to just being an incredible father, which I always compliment you on and say like once I have kids, I definitely want to take some of what you do and bring it into my parenting. And when you are a father and you also have all these other creative outlets that you have and just maintain, how do you balance them?
I mean, I think a blessing, like a sort of like spiritual healing process in the last many years of my life is that I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. Where I became a father so young, and I became a father at a time in my life where my values were still skewed, and I was signed to a major label, and I thought it was so important to make that dream, that like singular dream of like being a pop star, come to fruition as I saw fit. And so being a father or having a family seemed like in some way a liability, or it would somehow like deter me from that goal. And in that state of like internal conflict, you're neither showing up as a father properly, nor was I showing up as an artist properly, because I was like disengaged and had all this like internal resentment and conflict around it. So that's all to say that like the most important thing is integration, and knowing that like the time that I spend present as a father with my children, like that's exactly where God wants me to be, and to be present and to have that opportunity to serve and love and learn and grow as a man and as a father and be with them. I'm not supposed to be doing anything else. If I didn't get to go to a music session tonight because I get to be with my kids, whatever song I'm going to write in the future will be richer, more full of like love and light because of my experience as a father. So just making sure like you never use like family as some sort of like excuse in your mind as like some sort of block, or like a reason why things aren't happening in your career. Like the more that you can just like keep trying to have peace about like the timelines that things will unfold on. And then one of my favorite things about being a dad and an artist and a creative is sharing that gift with my kids. And it's something I've been really passionate about always. It's like, come get in the studio, sing a song about, like my 6-year-old son last week wrote a song called I Love Breakfast. Pancakes, waffles, cheese, and apples. I love breakfast.
He was going crazy.
Yeah,
on that
going
song,
crazy.
Yeah.
And I love that, my older son's been sort of at the mic since he was like the same age, and they see each other do that. My older son is an actor. He has a movie with Jack Black coming out, and a lot of that is just such a natural gift of them, of like me being not just in the industry, but me living it as a lifestyle. And so I love that I get to pass that on to them. That same, what I was talking about before, about my ideas are these ideas that I have are valuable. They're worth trying to express. I'm showing my kids, if you have an idea, we can express it. We could put on a record. We could make a cover art. We could put it on Spotify. It's like not, it's for you and it's fun. And so I love sharing creativity with my kids. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing, man. So you talked about being signed to a major label and now you're independent. What piece of advice do you have to just like upcoming artists after like just going through those ups and downs of the musical industry?
Boy, I don't want to, I'm happy to age myself. Actually, I was going to make that like tired joke. I don't want to age myself, but like I was signed to a major label a long time ago. And it was in an era where I think major labels still had more influence, and I think I was at sort of the end of the era of truly developing artists. So my experience at a major label, while there was a lot of negative elements for me personally, like how I handled it as a young man, creatively, and what I learned at that time was invaluable, because I had this amazing access to like the best songwriters and writers and producers alive at the time. And so for me, it was like music college. It was like I just got to go and work with Grammy winners. And it was interesting, like some of the flip side of that, when you're in a room and there's all these plaques on the wall and there's all these diamond records, and it can be creatively disempowering if you're not in the right. It takes a special kind of confidence to be a really young artist, like freshly signed, and now you're in the room with some of the biggest like hit makers. And so when it comes to that point where you have an idea and they have an idea, you tend to defer to their idea just because it's like the evidence seems to point to like, we should really go with you. But the beauty, what's going to make your music become one of those hits is leaning into like, your uniqueness as an artist. So being independent, there's a beautiful freedom in that. There's a creative freedom in that. And I think the whole industry is designed now around supporting the independent artist. So my experience with a major label was beautiful, and it was really messed up. And it was like all the things, like it was like, it didn't end up resulting in the results didn't end up resulting in the like accolades and the fame that I felt entitled to at that age. And so when it didn't work out the way I wanted it to, you know, I got kind of depressed and lost some of my mojo through the process. And that's no one's fault but my own. But it was like, you talked about the ups and the downs, like it was a hell of a journey. And it got to the point where like, when I was so obsessed with like the results of the music I was making, how's it going to be received? My relationship with music became so toxic. I would hear a good song on the radio, and instead of being like, wow, that's a good song, or I'm inspired by that song, it'd be like, who wrote that? Who produced that? Why don't I have a session with them? Yeah. Call my A&R, get me in, like, and that whole mentality just ruined it. It removed the passion, like the initial driving force, that gift of music got so squashed in the like results business. That I ended up not loving music anymore. And it took a long time to sort of heal from that. So I love, being independent now and just being able to sort of do music because I love it. And I think the difficult thing as an independent artist is driving the train yourself and staying consistent. And we all love that creative bliss. If you can also find creative bliss in the promotion of your music, that's where the magic is these days. I see the artists who are really doing it independently. It's because they have fun editing those 2-hour-long recordings of their session to make a 30-second story that relates to someone on Instagram about how this song was made. So like, if you can expand your concept around who you are as a creative, I think the industry is perfect right now for an independent artist, because you make a song and then you make a story, like a visual story about how you made that song. And then you make a music video, but you make another video about how you made the music video. And that one probably will get more engagement than the music video itself, because people have always been so fascinated by the creative process. So it's just sort of blown wide open right now. That was a convoluted answer, but it's like, I think just like when my major label thing happened, like I was a different person at that time. But I think there's so much opportunity for independent artists now.
For sure. I think that was a great way to look at it, honestly, because I think a lot of people who are independent now and seeing the way the music industry is, and with TikTok and how much content you have to create, it can bog a lot of artists down. But looking at it in the way of, I have the opportunity to create all this content around what I'm doing to give the audience more of an insight of what I'm doing, I think that's when it goes a long way. And falling in love with that process just as much as you fall in love with creating the music, I think is really important for sure.
Yeah, and seems quite necessary
100%,
right now. Yeah.
100%. And the last thing I want to ask you is, with everything that you've gone through, what inspires you to just create?
The serenity I experienced through the process of creating. There's nothing like it. And when I'm squirrely at the end of the day and I'm already thinking about what I have to do tomorrow, or I'm hung up on some interpersonal interaction or some money thing, or I tell myself, just 5 minutes at the piano, just 5 minutes. And it's really one of the most meditative gifts I have in my life. And everything else really slips away. And it's 5 minutes. It's like transitioning into that state, right? Like I can't even imagine. Like I don't even want to pick up my guitar right now. Like, and yet I'll say, let me put 5 minutes in, and that 5 minutes will turn into 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And just to plug this element of it, like I'm sober now, and I've been sober like almost 2 years. And so I realize now that I used to use drugs and alcohol to smooth out that transition. I'd be like, I don't really want to go up to my studio and like cook up something right now. So I'm going to get really high. And now I'm like, all right, I'm kind of in the mood to do it. And then that would sort of cover that first 20, 30 minutes of like, what am I doing here? But 2 hours in, I'm not smoking anymore. I'm just in that state. I'm just in that flow state where there's like, there's no mind, there's nothing but me in the creative process. It just takes a little time to get there. And so now in sobriety, it's like I have to just sort of be like, sit your ass down and start. In 2 hours from now, I will be in that exact same state, smoking or not, you know? So what inspires me to stay creative, I know is good for me. And I feel like I owe it to myself, because when I don't express the ideas that I have, I get clogged. Because if I have this like backlog of voice memos or ideas that I've never shined my proper light on and given them the chance to manifest, then that just sort of weighs me down. And I stop believing in myself creatively. If I never put out music, if I never release music, I keep waiting for the right time, or like, I don't want to put it out unless people are going to listen to it. Like, only I suffer because of that. If I put it out and it doesn't get a lot of streams, I actually still feel a lot better than if I don't put it out. So yeah, man, when I'm not, when music's not in my life, when creativity is not in my life for a few weeks, I don't feel as good.
Yeah, bro. You're wise, man. Wise man. Yeah, I think a lot of people are gonna get like a lot of nuggets from this too. Even just listening to you talk in depth about these things, like, it inspires me as well. So yeah, thank you for sitting down with us. And last thing we always allow artists and guests to do is plug themselves. So if you wanna stare right into that beautiful camera,
Yeah.
and let them know like where they can find your music, your, you know, the things you've acted on, as well as like your new single to come out.
MySpace.com.
Definitely aging yourself there, bud.
Yeah, I'm Nick Hagelin. You can find me on Instagram at Nick Hagelin, youtube.com/Nick Hagelin. That's Hagelin. I got a new single called Fallen, and I've been trying to put out music every month, so whether it's collaborations or my own stuff. So you can just check me out on Spotify. And what else? Oh yeah, and yeah, you can catch me on the new season of Sweet Magnolias on Netflix. There's a new show on Stars called The Hunting Wives. It's gonna be pretty cool. You can catch me on that. And also in Captain America 4 coming out on Valentine's Day. So
December 2, the Nutcracker, if they want to come.
oh yeah, if you want to come see me dance, I don't know how soon will this drop.
Maybe like late October.
You just missed Dracula. It was so good. But yeah, you can come check me out in the Nutcracker. If you follow me on Instagram, I will post about where I'm performing ballet and when. I'm Nick, and thanks for tuning in to Fridays Are For Friends.